So indicators, they're not the golden egg of making money, but over time you can increase your probability if you're using them correctly over and over again. So we've been developing a indicator since the start of the year. We have been developing it all around direction and trend bias and utilizing a lot of data that will be brought together into one screen, allowing you not to get caught out by the trend changes, certainly when it comes to Bitcoin and also the Bitcoin pair. I teach a lot of people about simplistic data and information that you should have on your charts to keep it simple and easy so you don't overcomplicate things. This indicator keeps it simple. It allows you to see things in more detail, utilizing a very, very common indicator, the RSI. There is a free version of this, however, TradingView has not approved it yet. However, we will go through the pro version and I will do the free version in another video in the future. So first things first, I need to go through what the indicator is, right? So as I say, it's not the golden goose, it's not the golden egg, it's not the winner takes all sort of variant where you just press a button and all of a sudden you magically become profitable. However, in terms of the results that we've already seen, and we're going to show you the results at the end of this, it's really good, right? Versus what's on the market, which is really, really positive, right? Certainly when we develop this. So the first things first, it is designed to be a trend and momentum indicator, okay? Super simple. Most people lose their money because they're not looking at the trend or they're not looking at where momentum is. Cryptocurrency traders, momentum is absolutely key, right? Due to liquidity, due to the way the leverage of market works, right? There isn't really a version for the stocks yet on this, but bear with on the future updates, there may be something for you. Anyways, in terms of the RSI, we've color coded it in terms of trend metrics based on the moving average, in terms of momentum. What we found very, very simply is if you are looking at the trend on the RSI, you tend to figure out where the market is going. Often you see some weird ass metrics about overbought, oversold. It doesn't always work. What you need to see is that actually trending? Is it actually creating a bullish or bearish trend? Because that RSI number can go as high as it wants or as low as it wants, even with divergences in there as well, right? You need to see where momentum is going. So we've simplified it, right? Another element to this is a custom algorithm based off divergences, right? Regular, hidden, and potential will be pointed out for you, which is huge. Certainly if you are looking for another confirmation bias, especially if you're learning. If you're learning the world of crypto and you're learning technical analysis, you will see random words and people will talk about divergences. If it can show you it, it will show you it. Simple as that. Another obvious part of this is the asset price bars. This is at the top of it. I'll show you in a second. Basically, this is allowing you to see what is happening with the Bitcoin pair of your asset, what is happening with Bitcoin, that's important by the way, and your own asset base of trend momentum indicators. This is super important because if you are going to go long on an asset and Bitcoin's having a bad day, you might want to just leave it alone. It might well tell you not to do that. Or the opposite, if you're looking to go short and Bitcoin bounces, you may well get absolutely battered because of that, situation. So you've got to be somewhat careful. But anyways, let's get into it on the chart. So let's showcase this and show you the basics. Now, this is kind of how I've got it set up at the moment. Now, we'll go through the settings, makes it more simple, right? You can change all of the information if you so wish to, right? If you want to change the thresholds, if you want to change the length, you can. If you want to change the look back and all the kind of sensitivity of the divergences, you certainly can too. You can add even more. You can also add labels if you are struggling to understand which is which. I will show which is which anyways. And also the confirmations, right? There is also alerts for every single one of these, right? For regular, for hidden, and the trend changes on the RSI. Most importantly, as well, the trend metrics on your asset too. So it all amalgamates into one, which is hugely important. Price trend data, currently the 21 and the 8 at the moment. You can change that to whatever style. So if you're a longer term investor, you may want to go for the 50 and the 100 or the 200, whatever. Up to you. You can also remove them. Plus, if you really want to go a bit deeper and say you're trading on, say, the 15-minute time frame, but you want to see the trend metrics for the 4-hour, you can set this to the 4-hour so you can look for moves, essentially going with the swing trade, but looking for the entries on the lower time frames, the intraday trading, which makes it more simple, right? So that's in terms of simplicity of the layouts and the input. Again, if you want to look at the style, you can, change a little bit of the colors if you so wish to. And that's kind of it, right? So when we're looking at this is the daily time frame. You can see here Dogecoin's not having a great day on all the metrics, right? In terms of the trend. Also, you can see on the RSI here, it's not looking great. There has been a publication here of a regular bearish divergence. So anything that is a solid line Solid blue line currently right now is a regular divergence. A dotted line is a hidden one, right? A hidden bull or a hidden bear. So bear with that. You need to get your head around that. That's why the labels are there. They're pretty important when you look at them. So when we look at the likes of Ethereum, just to give you a bit of an insight here. So let's go to, say, the 3-day time frame just so you can see it in more detail. When we're looking at this in terms of like the overall bit of kit and the data, right? When we start talking about, well, what's going to happen with the market? Well, what we always find here in terms of momentum is often when you see momentum, it tends to flow. However, it always starts from a lower time frame, so it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and the snowball gets even more crazy, right? So what we're seeing here, certainly at the start of this move, we're seeing firstly a regular divergence was appearing, right? We've had a bit of a meltdown, kind of was a bit rough for a while, and then things started to change. Obviously, over time, on this 3-day time frame, it's starting to kind of rally up. Once it gets above the EMA 21, start to get a bit more interesting on your chart, and you probably will start taking notice of things. But what this indicator gives us is clarity of what is Bitcoin doing and what is the BTC pair doing of that asset to help us make a better decision. I've often found that if the BTC pair and the USD pair is doing well, usually it's not a bad thing to look at. When you then combine that with, like, say, a green metric on the RSI to tell you that that's starting to trend up and starting to go into a bullish momentum trend, that's usually useful because people tend to go, well, if I buy at these levels of, like, say, overbought, or if I buy at, say, sell oversold, I'm going to win. But often you may find that doesn't always happen, right? So you've got to look at other variants, right? Because when you start noticing things, you're going to start thinking, when you look at the RSI, for example, right, this is the big thing. You'll see here very, very clearly how, like, this went to overbought, and like people will be like, I'm selling this, but look at what happened with the price. The price totally changed. This is literally saying you don't need to sell this yet because, yeah, there will be a momentum cool down, a consolidation, but this is still green. This is also still green, right? But not to mention, we're still above the 50% mark. Once you're above the 50% mark, it's usually classed as more bullish, right? Usually if it kind of floats in between, it's usually quite neutral. But, there's a couple of reds there, but nothing too alarming. It will keep you in the trade, right? So with that situation, it just helps you keep in the trade a lot longer, right? Certainly when you're looking at things. So what I've found, what works for me, is utilizing the color scheme on here. So basically the red is bearish, right? Orange is saying it's potential change or reversal, and then the green is telling you it's potentially good to enter. So when we look at, like I said, this on the 3-day time frame as an investor, well, you're above the 50% level. That's usually pretty key on the 3-day time frame, and also more importantly, starting to go green. When you start looking at this over the course of, like, the price action alone, you've had a breakout of a big level, and you are now above the moving average 21. Now, buying there isn't bad. You're never going to catch the bottoms, but if you're looking for trend momentum and we're starting to get a bit of a reversal and money starts coming in, you're starting to see more and more metrics. And when you start seeing the likes of these starting to turn green all the way across the board, it's interesting. When you start seeing BTC going green, you're probably going to start standing and taking notice. When we look at the likes of Bitcoin as well, you can see here very clearly it's still looking pretty crazy. But again, it looks exactly the same as Ethereum. Why? Because you're trading the Ethereum pair utilizing USD, which is mainly Bitcoin, right? Essentially, the whole market moves in Bitcoin. So this is the important part of it. Those trend metric tools will help you stay in the market. So when we look at the likes of FTM, for example, right? Random example. Again, similar sort of situation. The whole market looks like that. Why? Because it just does. But when you start looking at this, you can start seeing strong trends in the BTC pair as well, which will make it even more obvious for you to jump into and do something about it. When we go down to the lower time frames and look at, say, the 4-hour time frame and see what's happening, it's the same thing, but on a smaller scale for obvious reasons, a lot quicker. So what we're seeing here is obviously FTM has been trending down for quite a while, but the warning signs were there. The warning sign was the BTC pair in this. It was struggling against Bitcoin. And Bitcoin has been consolidating in this time period. Even though it's green on the bottom, when you start seeing this and that, these two red, you got to think to yourself, when you're trading altcoins, you do not want to go long if this is red, right? You don't want to go long. If this is red and this is red, why would you go long? Basically, you wouldn't. Also, you got to look at this. This has been showing some signs of weakness for obvious reasons. You had regular divergences here. Awesome. You had some failed bullish hidden bulls failing, basically, which is not fun. And you are below the EMA 21 on your moving average. So guess what that's going to tell you? That's going to tell you you should probably be looking short. It's giving you more confirmation bias to say, are we going up or are we going down? In this case, we're certainly going down. Again, when we look at the reversal here, where this is starting to change, it actually prints out a very nice divergence. You will not enter, in my opinion, I wouldn't, on this candle because you are in a honking downtrend. You got to wait for confirmations. It then broke out above and created a new level of support on which it found, which is fine, right? When you then look at the metrics, you are above 50 on the RSI, and it's also going green. But not to mention, this is now green. This is starting to turn yellow, which is important, and this is also green. Yes, not much momentum. It does a little bit, but you see the idea in terms of how it works. And again, we go back into the red zone where it starts to fall. This is an obvious kind of rejection point, consolidation, and we break down. We find a level of resistance which it failed to break through, and it just starts getting minging. And, entering a short around here would be perfect. Let's be honest. Pretty much all the reds, and obviously, most importantly, this is starting to go ugly, as well as an obvious lower high. Lower highs are really, really obvious, certainly on a failed breakdown. But that's the basics of it. I'll tell you how I use it and how I'm planning on using it is momentum. As I say, momentum is key in the crypto market. When you go into these lower time frames, you start looking at stuff. Let's look at another example, BNB, for a random example. Momentum is key, and momentum flickers all the time, and it changes all the time in crypto. It really does. When you start seeing the BTC pair doing crap, when you start seeing Bitcoin doing rubbish, why would you go long? You wouldn't. That's the element, and that's the gravy bit, a part of this that makes it so special. The problem you've got is the RSI. If you don't understand that, you're going to find problems because you're going to start looking at hidden divergences and regular divergences. As I say, sometimes they don't always play out, but they are good confirmations if you see everything else. If you start seeing all the reds and then some regular bearish divergences or a hidden bear, which is trend continuation, that is the perfect icing on the cake. When we're looking at stuff like this, for example, right, we've got all the reds and we've got an ugly, lovely, little, hidden, regular, hidden bear. It's there. It's clear. It's obvious. It's right there. And it's telling you, well, this is not looking good, bruv. Then you look at this candle. If I zoom in, you'll see this candle. This candle is telling you, well, that looks horrible. The next candle along will confirm the bearish divergence. All you need to look at is that candle, and then your entry is literally there, right? I know it's not the greatest risk to reward in the world, but ultimately it's telling you that is a failure. But the warnings also come much, much higher up depending on what you're looking at. If you're looking at the trends, there's a high, lower high, lower high, continuation down. This is a potential change of character. This is potentially changing right now. And what's happening? This is now above the 50%. This is also slowly starting to turn green. This is starting to go yellow, certainly in terms of what we're looking at right now. So there might be a change here, and this might start going up, depending on what you're looking at. So if we start seeing, for example, if this shoots to the upside and then finds a level of support from that point, you may well be looking to go long on a reversal bounce, depending on where the trend is going. Again, if we go down even lower to the 5-minute time frame, you'll see this in a shorter time frame in terms of how the market moves and how quickly it can change. Look at how aggressive this bounce period. You will never catch the bottom of here unless you're scalping. But fundamentally, once you start seeing all the greens and everything starts going green, the potential long here, once you find level of support, and funny enough, it bounces up, finds a level of support on the EMA, and it does go up quite a bit. It just depends on what your metric and what your tactic is. Some people like reversal, some people like, trend momentum, like myself. For me, I would be entering this when it's above the 50% and starting looking really good. Certainly when you're at a level, because you can use that support level and ultimately that stop loss there to jump in. Some people like to go for the snipers, whereas you could go for these because you see a regular divergence, and then when you start to see the yellows, it's looking pretty good, but it depends on how you go for it, right? So hopefully this is a simple instruction video in terms of how all this works. It's down to you though. It's down to you to get your own fundamental kind of approach. If you understand the RSI and it helps you seeing what trend metric data is coming out in terms of is it bullish, is it neutral, or is it bearish, that will help you. If you like to look at other metrics and always flicking between what is Bitcoin doing, what is Bitcoin pair doing, it's all on one screen, right? Firstly, there's a 50% off because of Harvey with Learning Crypto. This is our new website, by the way. I hope you like it. Essentially, boys and girls, if you go onto this and you like what we do, you can get it for 50% off. The indicator is all in the Traders Lounge. access to Discord, daily videos, live streams. You get all the online courses as well as, the trading lounge for all the trades, the trading indicator, and also potential strategies as we move forward and develop the indicator as it gets better, right? Now, this is the thing. To get the indicator, you need obviously click on get started. You'll be brought down to a page like this. Very, very simple. Their offer is only on the only on the annual, and it's 50% off. Boom, gone. If you press get access, just show you, and I'll show you the code. You put the code in here. On mobile, it is a little bit different, I will say that. So the code is Harvin, and all you're going to do, press apply. That will knock off a massive chunk of money. So you get full access for a year. So what are you waiting for, right? So in terms of results, our new website has a results tab for our analysts. These are transparent trades, basically put them on. And I'll show you the more up-to-date results soon because there's been a massive uptick. We've been using this indicator for about a month, 6 weeks now, different forms, and we're getting it better and better and better, and probably we'll be releasing new updates. Already, it's looking pretty damn good. You can see there's been a massive uptick since the start of the year in terms of, nice monthly profits. This is the overall account, by the way, not like percentages in terms of like a trade. So if you can grow your account by 30%, you are laughing, really. So we're doing pretty damn well. But when we look on Discord and looking at like all the more recent trades, this is obviously down. There's been a lot of shorts, basically. The trend hasn't been great, and there's a lot of shorts and there's a lot of nice little cheeky little scalpy wins and some big leverage ones, some lower leverage ones, some bigger holdings, and there's been some really good ones, and this is only on the last few days. This is where, the trend will become your friend and you start getting used to it. I know everyone trades differently, but the problem you've got with traders is conflict and bias. Sometimes me, personal opinion, I would look at Bitcoin and go, I'm not short on that, why would I short that? But reality is, when you look at the hallmarks here of the market, and we're starting to take a bit of a dump here now, but obviously this is starting looking pretty horrible, a very obvious, failure of a divergence there. But when you start looking at, say, the daily time frame, you start noticing, when did this all start to unravel? Well, our indicator was actually showcasing this with a very, very obvious divergence, kind of clear. Very, very clear resistance level. And ultimately, just continuation of these divergences made it look pretty ugly. When you think about it, this starting to turn red and a divergence is not great. But also look at the run-up. Why wouldn't you not look at potentially a entry around here to sell your position? Some people would, some people won't. Starting to change. Obviously, go to the 6 hour time frame. We'll start to see it in even more detail, where you'll see these very clear and obvious divergences starting to appear and weaknesses all the way across the board, showing you signs of weakness. And this has been flickering, obviously, in a range, but now it's been red for a while. We're breaking below here. This is now a level of resistance, and continuation of the trend, it's below 50. It's bearish. This is all red. What else can you look for? Well, there's not a lot. It's pretty ugly, right? But yeah, conflicting biases. So there you go. We're done, right? I hope this video helps you understand the markets in terms of divergences in case of obviously momentum and the trend. Right now as well, I didn't really show you this in the video. There is a potential divergence already printing here. It's looking pretty, pretty obvious now when you start looking at the price. In yellow, they will show us potential, which is good. Usually a bit of a head start. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. Check out the links below, which will give you all the information in terms of how to get the 50% off. That offer ends within 3 days. It's only short term, so don't delay.